As of 100 days ago, I got my first drawing tablet, and I started doing digital art for the first time. I wasn't a big traditional art enthusiast, so I never really had any drawing experience before getting the tablet. Now, this wasn't just an impulse buy. To an extent. Earlier this year, I picked up a summer class for digital animation, and a tablet was highly recommended. What? How did that even? I did get it early for two reasons. One, I needed to learn some art before my summer class because animation requires you to be able to draw. And second, I needed to find my art style. Now, everyone technically has an art style. You could go draw right now and whatever banger you cook up will be your own and in your art style. But I was looking for something, a style, a thing that would make my art more meaningful to me. Make me proud of what I just spent hours on. So I embarked on a journey. I drew every day for 40 days straight in a quest to find my art style. And I'm gonna go over each day so you could see how I eventually found the treasure that is my art style. And my voice cracked. I'm gonna freak out. Day one, I re-recorded the catastrophe joke like 5 times, so I'm not gonna do it anymore, but what a catastrophe, you know? I know, I'll be here all night. For the first day, I was just learning how to use a pen tablet, which a pen tablet is basically just a tablet with no screen on it. This was most of the first week, just trying to get used to using it and trying to just learn how to do art. Day 2, okay, so today I did a lot of tracing, mostly because it makes me feel like I'm a better artist than I really am. And also, I was just trying to coordinate more with the tablet. Yeah, basically day 2, I just traced some Cuphead sprites and learned a bit of layering with colors. Also, this took me like 5 hours. Day 3, I did a 5-minute drawing challenge with a reference, so I did a turtle. Honestly, there's nothing crazy going on here. I had 5 minutes. I didn't know what perspective was. I don't know what happened with the rock. And in the end, I messed up my Krita, so I wasn't able to draw on the canvas and color his last hand. But today, I come back and fill in his last hand. What a tear-jerking story. Day 4, another 5-minute drawing challenge from reference. This is the day I learned I'm gonna stop doing 5-minute drawing challenges from reference. Even my redrawing can't do it justice. Day 5, what was day 5? All right, day 5. Day 5 was nothing crazy. I was just testing out my handwriting, more coordination stuff. Day 6, I drew a koala. So this was actually gonna be the channel mascot before I made the little guy. But I made the little guy, so but yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of this one. It looks pretty good. I mean, the shading is nice. The only thing that I think is a little unsettling are the eyes. They kind of give off like a human-like feel, like he's staring into your soul. But I mean, in the redraw, I made him a lot cuter, I think. But day 7, look at this. This is the alpha build of the little guy right here. I called him the little guy, but he really is just modeled after an enemy in my game. I just kept rolling with it. You'll see the progression of the little guy over time, but this is where it all started. You're gonna have to take this one in. So just deep breath. Just if you want to keep staring, like it's fine, but like, you know. Day 8, I drew another enemy from my game. Well, not an enemy, it was just a piece of a little demo I did where a big worm comes in and rumbles the whole like screen and stuff. I also started sketching in a black layer instead of a white layer because my eyes were hurting staring at a white screen for so long. And also, if you notice, you could see that the little dude on the left, you could kind of see that my style was starting to form with these circular fellows. What happened was I just kept drawing circles on my tablet, and whenever I got a nice circle, I'm like, wow, I need to make that into something. So I just started making a little dude out of it every single time I drew a nice circle. Day 9, I drew a bear. I'm actually really proud of this bear, but yeah, I made it for one of my friends. I asked him what animal should I make, and he said a bear, so I made it, and I made him a little bear scout, so he has like the badges on him, and I think it came out pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. Day 10, this was a disaster. I'm not gonna lie. You see the meerkat, and you're like, okay, cool, that looks great, but that was mostly a trace job. I didn't trace it directly. I had it on reference on the side, and I tried to trace it with my eyes, so I technically still traced it, so I'm not taking any credit for this whatsoever. But what I want to show you is the bottom left here. My attempt at drawing a meerkat from memory right as I started this. Now this is catastrophic, okay? I hid this from my mind. I buried it deep in my memories to get rid of it because, oh my goodness, this is awful. That is what led me to doing the tracing this day, and I'm still embarrassed about it to this day. So day 11, this day I was actually traveling home for spring break. So you're gonna see the next week or so is going to be full of stuff that I did during spring break. So I gotta admit I was slacking for some of these days, but this one I just drew another little feller, and he's like taking over the earth, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know what to draw for this day, so I mean, day 12, I dipped my toes into a little bit of animation. So I animated the little guy from day 7 speaking, and I set up a thing so whenever I speak, he kind of speaks on screen when I'm recording. Now, I never got to using him, but it introduced me into the PNG tuber animation, I guess you could say. And I'm pretty happy that I tapped into it because eventually I would start getting a little more sophisticated with the animations. Day 13, I did the same thing, but with the bear. So nothing new was really learned. I just got better with the animation animation tools. Day 14, I drew a skeleton. I'm not gonna lie, this was the time that I was out with friends the most, so you're gonna see like the days are gonna go by quick. Day 15, I drew a cherry. Embarrassing, I know, this took me like 30 seconds. All right, I just wanted to draw something for the day. Day 16, all right, so this day, I thought it was a good idea to start draw a box. And now draw a box is for people that want to draw super duper amazing style. If you think you're lacking in your art concepts, like I learned drawing with the shoulder, that was already an amazing lesson. That could have been the whole course for me. Draw a box I think is super useful, and it's free, so I mean if you just want to peruse around, you should if you want to learn art. Day 17, I drew this window with a guy knocking on it. A good amount of layer work here. I was trying to show like the reflectiveness of the window, and I mean I was just drawing how I thought it would look good. And I mean, it doesn't look bad, but nothing momentous. Day 18, I was doing more draw a box, so I was drawing squares. And I also drew this cube and made it kind of look like it was watercolored, but that was my drawing for the day. I mean, I'd say yes, pretty lazy, but I think the cube looks cool. And also the guy is like, wow, like this is crazy. Crazy cube. Day 19, I drew the melting emoji. I guess that's just how I was feeling that day or something. But yeah, I really liked the gradient I did, and I'm really happy with how it came out actually. Day 20, I wanted to do a Japanese type of painting. And yes, I traced it, but I think it came out great. But it was a good study on like texture. So honestly, trying the different tools I think is super important, which I will get into in like 2 days, I think. Day 21, I drew Duo from Duolingo. I think this is actually a big achievement because I didn't have the reference for this picture in Krita. I had it on my phone because I just finished a lesson and Duo was telling me to rate the app. Also this day I did my very first rough sketch where I drew the general shapes, which is so useful. I don't know why I never did it before. So if you don't know where to start when you're drawing something, just draw some insane random polygons. So day 22, this was after spring break. What I wanted to do was every day I wanted to use a new tool to draw something, which was a terrible mistake, so I only did it for a couple days. So this day was the airbrush, so I drew everything with the airbrush. You're not supposed to draw line art with an airbrush, so the guy that I drew looks blurry. I'm really happy with the god rays that are coming out from the top though. I think they look pretty cool. Day 23, I think this was the pencil tool, or like it was like a thin brush because it's thinner than I normally do. Today I learned that I don't like the thin brushes. I like really thick brushes. No pause. Day 24, I think this is one of my best drawings. I really like this one. I used the opacity brush. So basically the harder you press down, the more opacity the brush has. So what I did was I tried to draw an orange and I just kept blending the colors together and it just kept looking better and better. So I just started hue shifting like crazy. Well, not really crazy, but like you see how the shadow's like almost pink, but the orange is orange because it's an orange. Like oranges are orange, but the shadow is pink because it's like more like saturation. I don't know. Day 25, I remember because I was gonna play Stardew Valley with one of my friends. So I just drew the parsnip because the parsnip is one of my favorite props in the game. If you've ever played Stardew Valley, you start with like 15, I think. And usually what I do is I buy like hundreds of them and I have like a parsnip empire of like 200 parsnips by the end of the season. Anyway, so I kept the same drawing style as the day before. And I think it came out good too. Not as good as the orange. I mean, the orange was crazy. I tried to keep this as close to the game as possible with the shading and the shape. So I didn't really change much of it. But it was still really fun. I really like the blending brush. I think it is top 3 brushes, probably. Day 26, I remember I actually recorded day 26. I could put a little snippet in here, but I followed a Bob Ross tutorial without pausing, and it was an absolute disaster. I did end up pausing twice, but I think it only ended up being like a minute of pausing. I tried to follow it as strict as possible, but bro, he just kept losing me with the different brush. He started whipping out different brushes that I've never even seen before. So I was trying to like switch brushes. It was really bad. Until the end, everything just started blending together, and I really like how it came out. It came out way different from his, but I think it actually came out really nice. Day 27. Okay, day 27 is a pivotal day because I learned that I don't know how to redraw stuff, or I don't know how to draw one character multiple times. So I tried to draw the little guy again. I tried to recapture that flame from day 7 on day 27, and I couldn't, and it came out worse than before. I tried to do it with the cool blending brush, but it just didn't work, and he has no neck. This day was a little demoralizing because I was like, I really need to start being consistent if I want to find my art style, which I eventually did. It eventually got into the hyperfixation of the little guy, don't worry. Day 28, I drew my first background, and this was the prototype for the how to make games when you're bad at everything video, and I didn't end up using it, but I still think it came out pretty nice. It kind of looks like an art project you would do in like 5th grade. Day 29, I drew a creeper. I filled him in with like a crayon style brush. I'm pretty sure I did this because the Minecraft movie was coming out. But yeah, I just started working with squares. So I was trying to get the perspective down. Still a little lacking in some areas, but I had the spirit. Day 30, I drew another enemy from my game. He's just a little mushroom guy that walks around. So yeah, nothing crazy. Day 31, I got back into animation, but this time animating each frame individually. I'm just now realizing that I didn't draw the little like hairs on this guy. This was supposed to be the little guy, by the way. This was the prototype of when I'm talking about something in a video. So I would be like yapping and then pointing. I don't think I had too much time this day, I'm not gonna lie. Day 32, I did a little test. I'm like, you know what? Let's try drawing the little guy from memory and then comparing him to the little guy that I drew on day 7 because I wanted to draw him exactly the same. I'd say this is a pretty big mistake. I think letting go of old drawings is okay, but it's a really hard step to do because I would not let this little guy go. Day 33, I did another trace job. I drew a picture that one of my friends sent me of a cow wearing sunglasses. So yeah, I mean, not much can be said here. Day 34, I drew frogs. So I tried to keep the Japanese-ish style of day 20 and wanted to draw some frogs. So I drew this one peeking its little head out of the water, and I drew this one with color. Now this green one, this green one is terrifying, I'm not gonna lie, but I kinda like how it came out. I really had a fun time with the color blending on his body. I did use a reference that is very similar, but I think I put my own little spin on it. Day 35, flint and steel. I just drew flint and steel. I think this is the day I watched the Minecraft movie, I'm not gonna lie. The screen in the theater wasn't even working, so we had to move theaters and watch the movie like 2 hours late. It was actually awful. And then it was the subtitled version, so we got to watch it with subtitles on. What a disaster. Day 36. I think this was the day where I found it. I was like, I am going to draw this little guy so many times, and I'm gonna see which one looks the best. We have a large variety here, and I had to pick which one I liked the most, but I couldn't really pick, except for the bottom one. He's pretty lit. What I ended up doing was going to a new canvas and trying one more time. Day 37, I drew this, and I was like, yo, I think we did it. The head was circular, the arms were stubby, the hairs were present. Everything was so beautiful. It was the little guy. On day 37, finally. And now I just had to refine him. Day 38, I animated him waving. I think it came out pretty nice. My mom still loves that one. Day 39, colored him in. Look at him go. He could be made into a marketable plushie. Everything is beautiful. And day 40, I drew the thumbnail for how to make games when you're bad at everything. We finally made it. But wait, you might be saying, that's not the little guy from today. I have day 41 here and day 42, and that's really it. I don't have day 43, but I could show you a progression of more little guys over the coming weeks. But I'd say around day 70 maybe, the little guy was how he is right now. But yeah, that is the evolution of my art style. After I got to day 40, I really zoned in on that style, and now I draw like a child, but in a good way, you know what I mean? So yeah, those are all 40 days. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something. And yeah, I hope your drawing journey leads you to a beautiful treasure like the one I found. Alright, so I'm recording this a couple days after the How to Make Games When You're Bad at Everything just came out. And bro, oh my gosh, the support is crazy. Thank you guys so much for all the kind words. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry that this video was a little more raw. It was a little less game development oriented, but I feel like art is a really important part of the process, and I really want to go over like everything. I only really do pixel art for my games at the moment, so this doesn't really help me, but hopefully it helped you in some aspect, right? Next up, I'm going to be going over my music. And that is I'm very interested to go back and see the disasters I created. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.